Hey guys, today's February 6th, 2025. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Super Bowl and why I see it as a high watch date. I wasn't originally going to talk about this because other decoders were mentioning this and I didn't really have much else to add, except when I looked into it further, I definitely found some interesting connections that nobody is talking about, or at least that I've seen before. So one of the obvious connections that other people have talked about is this image right here from iPad Goat 2. You can see it represents very symbolic of the Super Bowl trophy, right? The head and the arm. And what's going on behind here is either a volcanic explosion, a nuclear explosion. It's been said that this could be an aircraft carrier sinking as well. Maybe other things as well. Maybe this could be obviously lava or oil. So there's multiple possibilities. I know for a fact, I'm pretty sure that one of the possibilities is La Palma volcano erupting because she's holding her palm up next to the nuclear explosion, the volcanic explosion, and La Palma translates to the palm, and she's got a tear jar. She's mourning the loss of her son. So, and that's what they used to do. They used to collect their tears in a jar, and La Palma is a tear-shaped island. So, anyways, so what do you think about when you think about the worst disasters in New Orleans? Hurricane Katrina comes to mind, right? And if you look at the date written just like this, where August is not in a number form, is written down, the remaining numbers are 2925. And that is this coming Super Bowl in New Orleans, which is very interesting. Is that right? Written in short form, Super Bowl Sundays, February 9th, 2025. And the time difference from Hurricane Katrina is 7,104 days. So just looking at that, it didn't really mean much. But when I looked into it further, I found out that 71,777 is the 7,104th prime. And this number backwards would be 77717. And that equals the amount of days that Louisiana became a state. That is really weird, right? The number of days that Louisiana became a state is directly related to the disaster in New Orleans. The date, Hurricane Katrina to Super Bowl Sunday. All right, that's very strange. So this coming Super Bowl is Super Bowl 59. And as I said, it shows a volcano or nuclear explosion connecting to possible date, the same day to the Super Bowl or surrounding that date, according to what I see in iPad Go 2. And if you go back, the 22nd Fibonacci number, 17,711 days, which is kind of similar to these numbers, right? Same numbers, but just one more 1 and one less 7. So if you go back the 22nd Fibonacci number before Super Bowl, you have a plane crash that killed 59 and it crashed into a volcano. So, and not only that, this number 22 is also connecting to the recent eclipse in 2023. And that was the same day that the governor of Louisiana was elected, on this date of the eclipse, October 14th, 2023. And you can see the pathway. It passes close to the direct path, is close to Louisiana, but it goes right here over through California, Upper California, Oregon, wherever. But that will be 484 days since this eclipse occurred, and that is 22 times 22. And the other eclipse is 44 weeks. The one we had last year in 2024, the April 8th eclipse. And that is 22 plus 22. So 22 plus 22 in the other eclipse is 22 times 22. So that makes this a little more interesting, this connecting the 22nd Fibonacci number to the plane crash and the volcano, 59 killed. And when you look at this plane crash that happened in a volcano, if you reverse it, that is the date that Mount St. Helens erupted. 518, the reverse of 815, right? And volcanic eruption does equal 80 in reduction. Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980. So I'm not going to reveal my date right now, but I have a future date that I've had for a couple years. It's actually more than a decade out. It's a far away out. And I believe it could be the eruption of La Palma. And this Super Bowl has a direct 80 connection, so that's really piquing my interest. So with this possible volcanic eruption. And no, I don't think a volcano is going to erupt in the Super Bowl stadium or New Orleans. So, but maybe the same day somewhere else. So we are in the 23rd year since 9/11/01, the 9/11 attack. And on this day, George Bush read the verse Psalms 23. But if you look at this, if you cut the bottom half, because it's written weird, like I said, this is multi-layered, so this could be interpreted as multiple different things. So if you just cut the bottom part of this, because the 3 looks strange, because it looks just the bottom half is the curve, but if you just look at the top, it looks like the number 29. Just like the plane crash that happened on 12/29. And the plane crash that happened on 1/29. Now we have Super Bowl on 2/9. And we are in the 23rd year. Psalms 23. Here's something that I recently saw other decoders talk about, like decoding with Cody, Joseph Acquaviva, maybe some other ones as well. But anyways, they connected the date. The day the music died, the plane crash with Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper, all famous musicians dying in a plane crash, to the Super Bowl this coming Sunday. And that will be 66 years and 6 days apart. And that's also what the song American Pie was about, this plane crash, right? And American Pie premiered in Philadelphia the first time on March 14th, 1971. And we have the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. And they currently have 666 wins, and they'll have 666 losses if they lose in the Super Bowl. And so, this American Pie, as I said, first played in Philadelphia about this plane crash. And you have this plane crash connecting to the Super Bowl Sunday, 66 years. 6 days. So you got the 666 connection with the Eagles. And when we look at these plane crashes that recently happened, the one in South Korea, the day that Carter died, it happened due to a bird strike, right? The Philadelphia Eagles, they're birds, right? And then you had the American Eagle crash, crashing with a helicopter on 129. And then you had the plane crash in Philadelphia, right? All connections with the Philadelphia Eagles. Not only that, the moon landing, they said the Eagle has landed. And on Trump's inauguration, it was 666 months. And so that makes it really interesting with this connection with this plane crash. 66 years and 6 days. And I'm going to go back to this American Pie and how it connects with Trump. But first, I'm just going to talk about all these plane crashes had a president connection. You had this crash in South Korea. President Carter died the same day. He died in Plains, Georgia, right? Spelt different, but sounds the same. So and then you had the plane crash in 129. A plane takes off from Eisenhower Airport and crashes trying to land at Reagan Airport. And then you had a plane crash next to the Roosevelt Mall on Roosevelt Boulevard. And then you had a plane engine that caught fire on February 2nd at Bush Airport, right? So you only have 8 airports in the United States that are named after presidents. And 4 of these incidents covered 3 of these airports. There's a lot more airports than states. And then speaking of the plane crash connections, and and you got the Super Bowl, and you got this other connection from the Super Bowl breaking ground. 19,541 days. That's the 2,216th prime. That's the flight number of the crash in South Korea, the day that President Carter died. 2216. So, and Trump will be the first president to attend the Super Bowl. And not only that, the Caesars Superdome, the name of the stadium in New Orleans where the Super Bowl will be played, well, it was closed down due to the damage from Hurricane Katrina and reopened on September 25th, 2006. And from that time date to when it reopened is 220 months and 16 days with the end date included. Another 2216 connection. And when you go back 2 years, 216 days before the Super Bowl, you had the assassination of the Prime Minister of Japan, right? They don't have president, they have the Prime Minister. So he's the leader of Japan. He was assassinated, connecting to this 2 years, 216 days. So really strange, all these president connections, and you got Trump attending the Super Bowl. Now you have Trump attending the Super Bowl, right? American Pie was all about this plane crash. And look at, you have from the day that this plane crash happened, the day the music died, to the election of Trump, 3,014 weeks, the number of pi. Trump was officially elected the very next day on the 314th day. And the day he was elected to the day of the Super Bowl is 3,014 days. This is not a coincidence. The pi number connecting the day that Trump was elected, the day the music died, and the day of the Super Bowl. 3,014 days or 99 months. I'm going to tell you why 99 is important too. Because calm before the storm, one of the things that it equals is 99. I made a video about this before. I'm not going to talk about it. I actually predicted a hurricane landfall before it even formed in the Atlantic, and that was Hurricane Beryl. It was the second landfall, but it was still a landfall date because it happened exactly 81 months after Trump said the calm before the storm. Because exactly 81 weeks before he said that, another hurricane made landfall. And I don't exactly remember the landfall date and the connection exactly with these numbers, but either a hurricane made landfall on one of them and formed on the other. I think it was maybe the 288. A hurricane made landfall 288 weeks or 288 days after he said the calm before the storm. And the 99 also connected with another hurricane forming or making landfall. But this time, we got the 99 months or 3,014 days connecting with Trump directly to the Super Bowl. Before it was the date that he said this. And I will say that I don't have the slide here. I forgot it. But back on April 7th, 4-7, like Trump is the 47th president now in the year 2018, the Trump Tower caught fire. And that was exactly 81 months apart from the fires in LA that just happened. So another calm before the storm, connecting with Trump. Another huge connection, Trump cutting the Air Force One plane cake on his inauguration day, and plane crashes followed 9 and 11 days. So this happened, the first one happened on New Year's Day, the year of the snake, and Melania is wearing the dress. It looks like a snake. When she came out, I was like, oh my gosh, Melania is wearing a snake dress, I that's immediately what I thought. And the Air Force One cutting of the cake immediately caught my attention, because before even these plane crashes occurred, I believe that Trump may go down in a plane crash. I don't know for sure, but I already had decodes that I didn't share with you guys yet for a specific date that Trump could go down in a plane crash. However, there's very interesting connections with Trump and the Super Bowl and the 314 number, right? So the last connection that I want to show with you guys is Super Bowl Sunday being 33 days after the fires in LA and 33 days before the upcoming Pi eclipse, right? The lunar eclipse on Pi Day. And also, I don't have the slide here, but that first plane crash in January, 9 days after Trump cut the plane cake, it was trying to land on runway 33. So one more thing I don't have the slide for, but the plane crash near Reagan Airport on January 29th was the birth anniversary of President McKinley. So McKinley was assassinated, right? I told you guys all these president connections. That was on his birthday. Super Bowl Sunday will be the birth of William Henry Harrison. He was born on February 9th, 1773. He wasn't assassinated, but he was only president for 30 days. And he died of pneumonia. It's got me also wondering about a coming Pi variant that I've talked about before. I do have another date this month, which is a possibility. But we also have President Lincoln's birthday. He was assassinated, right? And that comes right after the Super Bowl on February 12th. And that will be his 216th birth anniversary. And I just told you guys all these 666 connections. And 216 is 6 times 6 times 6. And there's a reference in iPad Go too, the $5 bill on Draco's chin or something at his cheek. Lincoln was on the $5 bill. So that is another big watch date, Lincoln's birthday. So anyways, we'll see what happens, and I will talk to you guys next time. Take care.